Hey art nerds, I'm back at you with another World Watercolor Month vlog. So today we're going to be talking about what's in my everyday use palette. You guys see this beaten up ragtag palette here. This is my main palette. This is what I use primarily for 7-inch Cara. And it is really a ragtag of all kinds of different paints. We have some Winsor & Newton half pans, and I have a couple right here because I need to refill them. So sepia and Van Dyke brown. We've also got a lot of filled pans with everything from Soho watercolors. That's Urban Blue Violet right there. This is a mix of a couple of different blues that work really well for sky kind of colors. I'm really sorry, my camera does not want to seem to pick the colors up. Let's see. I think this is Soho Indian Yellow. This here is either Holbein or Daniel Smith Hooker's Green. This is Undersea Green. This is Appetite Green. Both of these are Daniel Smith colors. One of these is phthalo cyanine blue from Soho, I believe. This is Winsor & Newton neutral tint, which I don't like as much as I like Holbein's neutral tint, so I won't be refilling this. Or rather, I'll be refilling this rather than with another half pan with just from the tube, dried watercolor. We've got Holbein Cherry Red. We've got Magello Opera Rose. We've got Soho Permanent Mauve. We've got Daniel Smith Naphthalide Maroon. Winsor & Newton Dioxine Purple or Violet. We've got Daniel Smith like Rhodonite, something like that, pink. We've got Winsor & Newton Payne's Gray. We've got Winsor & Newton Carbon Black. We've got, I forget what this is, but I think it's a Daniel Smith color. It's like a nice brick red. We've got Holbein Iridori, like their antique bamboo. We've got the old Daniel Smith quinacridone gold sent to me by my friend Kabocha. We've got a couple of different yellow ochres. We've got, I think this is a burnt umber. We've got sepia. We've got Van Dyke brown. This might be the burnt umber. I don't know what this is. We've got Venetian red, and then we have burnt sienna. So this is actually kind of the stripped down version of my palette as well, because sometimes it's more full than this. But you guys can see I have it organized chromatically, so it's kind of like a radiating spectrum rather than lines of color. They kind of move downward like that. But yeah, this is my everyday palette. It's full of a mishmash of pans. These are colors I enjoy working with. These are colors I'm familiar with their properties in a palette that probably needs to be replaced because this thing is getting so beaten up it doesn't even shut properly anymore. I have to tape it when I'm traveling because it doesn't even shut. And this is, gosh, I remember paying $40 for this at the time. Amazon did not have good options for palettes, but I'm going to be able to replace it with something just as nice, just as sturdy, and probably only pay $20 for it. And this is supposed to be, it has like a field ring on it. I have never used it as a field palette because it's just too big for me to use in the field. I use smaller, 12 and smaller pan palettes, and I honestly, this removes, but I never use these mixing wells. I usually use like daisy palettes for this. So this is pretty much, I have another palette. It's like a Magello Bulletproof palette that I also use when painting 7-inch Cara, so I guess I should show you guys that one. I don't use this palette quite as often. This is this is a Magello Bulletproof palette, and this is pretty much only used for 7-inch Cara stuff. And if you look too closely, these colors are really nasty and full of cat hair because CATS. And some of them do need to be refilled, like this was Pyroline Green, and this is a Payne's Gray that actually performs differently than the half pan Payne's Gray. And then there's some colors like this pink here, which I have not used, or this green here, I have not used in all the years I've had this palette. So I'd really like to be able to scrape those out, clean this palette up. I just don't want to waste the paint, although some of these are so near empty. It really wouldn't be much of a waste at all. But this is also used when painting 7-inch Cara. And you guys have inspired me to try and clean this palette up a bit and refill it. So those are my two kind of everyday use palettes. I do use other palettes as well. I like working with a variety of brands. I'm not brand specific. And I've been kind of trying to work my way away from Winsor & Newton half pans because I just think they're so expensive for what I get. When I'm painting Cara pages, I'll blow through, I don't know, probably 2 of these semi-moist half pans when I'm painting a whole chapter. And that's 30 pages, and I know that's a lot of illustration, but that's a chapter of my comic, you know? So I'm trying to find ways that I can work with watercolor a little more economically. And I have a vlog coming up where I talk about these sort of semi-moist preformed half pans as compared to filling your own half pans from tubes. So keep an eye out for that.